Welcome to the Maasto Fitness podcast. Today, an episode study. We're doing a case study between myself and a racer I worked with. So, we're going to just dive a little deeper into me and this athlete, our relationship, and how it kind of grew and built over time. And the more he trusted me, the faster and essentially better he felt and was racing. So, this is a quick hit podcast to keep them short and to the point, focusing on the things you can do off the bike to race faster and safer. At Maasto Fitness, we work with racers remotely in the real world. Many have a life full of commitments and don't have a lot of time to train off the bike or ride. We provide training off the bike so days on the bike, whether riding or racing, are faster and safer. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we'll start with the background. This was a racer. He'd been racing a couple years. He was referred to chat with me through another racer. He'd been racing for a while, was starting to get a little bit faster and was starting to kind of feel the effects of a faster class, kind of like he had felt that his skill level had reached beyond his fitness. So he could start off really good, hold good form, feel like he was flowing. But as the day went on, he faded. Specifically, this athlete races sprint enduros. This is his primary focus. So if you don't know what a sprint enduro is, at least the way it works here in Michigan with the series this athlete races, essentially you have two tracks. You have a cross track and an enduro track. And the cross track's a little bit faster, maybe a little more moto-y. And then the enduro track's more single track, a little more tight woods. And you've got those two tracks and you alternate between the two, usually doing each of them 4 times. So you do essentially a total of eight motos doing each track 4 times, and you get a little rest between each one. And so how it felt like his first 1 or 2 times on the cross test and the moto test or enduro test, he felt pretty good. But as the day went on, he would just kind of see himself and feel himself fade more and feel like he was working harder to go slower and was just beat up by the end of the day. So he reached out to me. We had an initial phone call, kind of chatted about our different coaching options, how I could help him and his struggles. And we dove a little bit deeper into his lifestyle, history, what he wanted, all that jazz. And we settled on our double jump coaching, which is our semi-custom coaching. So involves a weekly plan. And then I go through and do weekly feedback. We've got a monthly form they fill out, and we also have a quarterly call. So not a full-on custom plan, but decent amount of communication and definitely a plan that fits his life and what he does. So we get going on that double jump plan, and he was still a little bit hesitant about it. He thought the remote coaching was a little odd. I explained the app to him, and we did a quick video call onboarding to kind of go over the app, but just kind of like, this is how I build and put the workouts in. These are how you get your resources, how you can get most out of it. And it's all in this app. And he was kind of like, I don't know, it's weird. You're like far away, but I'm following this plan. And I was like, well, let's just give it a try. It's no contract. It's literally month to month. So let's just get going and give it a try. So we kind of had our initial call, set up how communication worked, how the app worked, and started our relationship. So got going. Initially, after I did my first week review, he was like, man, this training is a lot different than anything I've done. I feel like I'm working muscles completely different and doing things different than I had. And the way he kind of said it was kind of neutral, like positive, negative, I don't know. But it was definitely different than anything he'd done. And then the aerobic side, we put some structure into what he was doing. So we did have to build a little bit of an aerobic base, but we put structure in. And so he wasn't just going out and just riding his bike. We actually kind of had a plan of action of ranges of effort we were working on. And then eventually that would transition to heart rate training once fitness was higher for testing. But essentially, we weren't just popping out the door on our bicycle and just riding. We had a plan of how hard we were going to go off of feel and when to go easy, when to go hard, warming up, cooling down. So we get going, and I got the roadmap started for him, and he's getting used to all these new things. And each week as the weeks went on, I had noticed that he was starting to kind of have a little bit more positive feedback. Now, this athlete, this was before the race season started, so no racing yet. Weather had started off, it was still winter, so no time on the bike for him up here in Michigan. But he was starting to feel the effects of training. So I noticed he was starting to feel a little bit better. Sessions were feeling stronger. They weren't so much as like maybe starting out, they were, and I'm making up words here and he didn't actually say this, but maybe they were a little bit more like survival, like just get through it. And then as the weeks were rolling out and the months, he started to feel more like he's progressing. He's able to do the workout and feel strong and understand the movements and not feel like it's beating him up. So we're working together. He's starting to trust the process a bit more, trust me a bit more. It's all starting to make sense. And then finally, first race of the year happens. Um, has the first race, and it said he feels like night and day different, especially spring wise, the most fit he'd ever felt coming into the season. And then that's when I felt like for us, the trust really just went next level. Like he completely believed in what he had invested his money and time in, and those months of training and learning new things and doing workouts with which started as effort based, moved to heart rate training, doing things with heart rate and adhering to these specific zones had all paid off, and he felt much, much better. So the confidence just went through the roof. And that's kind of I feel like a big thing with the coach athlete relationship is when we're able to build a plan of trust and we have a good communication, like we planned on when we started with the plan that we're going to work together. Things are just kind of limitless for the racer when they trust me, and I feel like this is just a perfect example of that trust. He's telling me when he can do sessions, what type of sessions he has time to do. I'm putting in a training that's just specific and exactly what he needs, and I feel like is working at his limiters. And then we get to race season, and wow, things take off. So race season gets started. He's feeling much better. And then we started to find some pit holes in his fueling. So that was something that definitely been an issue in the year past. And we were able to squash those pretty easy after that first race. While he felt so much better that first race, definitely was, by the end of the day, he's still spent, still exhausted, as you should be, as anyone should be, including me or anyone else after a race. But I felt like maybe fueling was a little off point from the communication we had on the app after the race. We need to up our game a little bit. So we dove deeper into those resources, understanding his sweat rate and understanding how many calories he needs to consume an hour and making sure he's getting those calories in. And then the next race comes and we're doing even better. He's feeling better. And we're able to hold even more consistent high efforts as those motos wear on through the day, alternating between that cross test and enduro test. So through our communication, through our training, and through also a big thing is his consistent training. So he's putting in that work every day. There's a session, he's doing it, and now he's also kind of combining his fueling. He's using the resources that we have to help him just be fueled up properly all the time for training or racing. It's making a huge, huge difference. So I think the key takeaways here are if you work with a coach, when you work with a coach, key is important. And anyone who follows professional sports or played a sport previously, maybe many athletes were coached in high school or possibly college, but maybe not so much post those dates. A big thing is trust. You could probably maybe go back to youth sports if any of you were in a youth sport. You had a coach you didn't like or someone didn't like the coach, and you can think about those examples of when they were just butting heads and things weren't going as smoothly as possible or as good. And then that's a big one is the athlete didn't trust the coach. And I feel like when the athlete trusts the coach, that's like when all stars align with what is really possible for that racer and what can be done. So that's it for today. It's simple enough as that. The coach athlete relationship super important, and trust is important because like for me with my athletes, I'm invested in every one of them, making sure I'm doing everything I can to keep them healthy and successful. And when athletes either sometimes start going a little bit sideways and kind of going rogue on their own sessions, doing their own thing, or when they just start skipping sessions that they definitely had time to do or could do, that's sometimes when they're not able to get everything out of their body. And for me as a coach, that's something that always kind of secretly drives me a little bit nuts because I see the success they have, I see what they can do, and then if they're not making it work when they could work, that's always a tough one for me because I've seen their potential, I see what they can do, and I know they can do so well if they would just sometimes listen to the advice and put their time in. So that's it for today. Simple enough. Case study of myself and another athlete. And keep in mind, this is episode 30. So I've got 30 different podcasts, all under 15 minutes, most of them close to 10 minutes, all on things you can do off the bike to race faster and safer. And I keep them going every week. But I'm always looking for suggestions. I feel like when I'm at races, people talk to me about different struggles they have, different things they want to learn about. So if you see me at a race somewhere, don't talk to me, let me know. I'm always open to ideas, something that some people want to learn about. I'm more than happy to discuss that for, a quick podcast, something 10, 15 minutes. And then also you can just send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Send me a message if there's something you want to know more about. Let me know and I can make a podcast out of it. I'm always looking for new ideas. So that's it for this week at Maasto Fitness. We build strength, endurance, and mobility training for racers, plus have tons of hydration, nutrition guides, monthly call for all athletes, and then kind of like I touched on earlier, different training programs. So lots of options. So if you want to give it a try, send me a message on Instagram, and I'll get you a free week of our single jump training program. I'll talk to you guys later.